So the next thing we're going to do when it comes to creating our head is we're going to try to create a large portion of the face and the whole head in general. And we want to try to do this with the least amount of geometry as we possibly can, because we're going to add a lot more later on, but getting it all kind of boxed out is going to make things really easy, or at least much easier for us later on, because we do have a nice amount of geometry right here. So let's get a good portion of the head done now. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to add this piece to a new layer just to kind of hide it for now. And we're going to do a good portion of the actual head shape. So to do that, what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to create a cube. And I'm going to do a 1 by 1 by 1 cube, should be fine. And what I'm going to actually do with it is I'm going to go to mesh and then smooth. What that's going to do is it's going to kind of create this sphere shape. And that's kind of what we want to go for, because a head is round, and you could just make it out of a cube itself, but this will kind of save us a little bit of steps with shaping it out. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to scale it up nice and big to the rough shape of our character's head, just like that. And what I'll do is I'm going to try to move it a little bit more in the center and kind of set up where it's going to go. So we could start in the front view first if you want. Let's do that. So I'm going to take some of these vertices and I'm just going to raise them up like this and just start using this as a guide to shape out a nice portion of my head. Again, if we're missing parts of the head, that's fine, because we're going to add a lot more geometry to this later on. This is just our rough guide shape. So I'm just going to go like that, bring them over here. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to go in and let's undo that for a second, because you know what? I'm going to show another tool. So if we are going to work on both sides of the head at the same time, we might as well have our symmetry tool set up. And to use a symmetry tool, it's pretty simple. We just go up here where it says symmetry and change it from off to, in this case, I'm going to do object X. So now whatever I select, it's going to do to the other side as well. So in this case, if I select these vertices, move them around, it'll move them for me there. And it's not going to be perfect because this image isn't perfectly set up just yet, but it'll at least speed our process along with scaling or moving things around. Or I could just go in and set up the face just to be modeling half of it. I might end up doing that. We'll just take a look and see how this goes. So from the looks of it, because my character's front view isn't perfectly centered or from the front, I am going to just cut it in half. So you don't have to do this if your character's face is perfectly centered. I'm going to do that for now just to kind of get my shape. So now I did the front view, so that looks good. I turned symmetry off, and all I'm doing is taking these vertices and trying to plan out where they should go. So just like that. And all this is a lot of kind of planning and boxing out, because we are just going for the general shape of the head. In this case, I'll probably put this over here, and I will be maneuvering all these vertices around at some point. So I'll put this a little bit closer over there. This I might lower over here more, and then I could shape this out a little bit better. We do want to have a nice shape and good topology with our character, and kind of building it like this should help us do that. So that looks pretty good there. And now we can start adding a little bit more geometry to kind of shape out this head a little better. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Mesh Tools. I'm going to insert an edge loop, and I'm just going to add edge loop right around here, here, and let's put one right here. This is a pretty decent amount of geometry as it is, but it'll just save us from adding more later on. And all I'm going to do now with that is take the new geometry that I've added and just start shaping this into my head. So this is just going to go right there. This is just giving me a lot more to work with in creating our head and shaping it to the best of our abilities. Again, this doesn't have to be perfectly aligned with the photos, but as we go forward with it, it just makes things a lot easier to kind of work. One thing I do want to focus on is getting this shape right here done pretty nicely and kind of working with my character's jawline, so I will start building that as well. So we kind of follow his jawline. These are going to go over right here, and so it's going to be shaping things out. For right here, I'm going to be using this area as my neck, so I'm just going to shape that as well and just kind of work with it. So that looks pretty good. These look pretty good from the front. The front doesn't matter as much because we are going to be deleting these faces to attach our eye socket and building the face from there. But from our side view, this looks pretty good. What I will end up doing is I might delete this face right here. Actually line this a little better. So let me just spread these a bit more over this right here. I'm going to take a look at where these edges are and see if I can start building my neck from that. So in this case, I'm going to probably delete these faces just like that, and I'm going to take them, so I'm just selecting all these faces, and I'm going to do an extrusion and bring them on down. I'm going to click on this icon right here to have it go with the world. And I am probably going to use a scale tool to kind of line these up a little bit better, just so it makes an easier shape to work with. And that's going to be our neck piece. So if I look at it right here, we have a pretty good rough shape of our character. We do need to work a little bit more on the neck and on the head, but we'll shape that out from the front view now. So I'll go to my front view. Yeah, this is looking pretty good so far. There are some vertices I do want to kind of mess around with a little bit more, so I'll take these, have those line up a bit better. These right here are going to go for that cheek. These right here for the other portion of his cheek. And let's just take a look. Alright, that looks good. I'll move this one out more. And we just want these nice smooth curves, just to kind of round it out. I did luck out in having a character that doesn't have any hair, which does make things easier to see when I want to make the ear, and we could kind of work on how we do the hair later on if we needed to with any other character. But in this case, we're kind of doing this a little bit more on the easier mode. So that looks all good. Let us straighten these out a little bit more, kind of bring them in. Let's see how that looks. Okay. Let's take this one right here and round it out. A lot of this might not make sense, but all I'm really doing is kind of getting a feel for the character and feel for how they kind of like are shaped. So in this case, I'm just doing this nicely. That looks pretty good. I could probably work a little bit more on that chin. Let's take a look. Let's bring this up a little bit more just to shape this a little bit better. And when we get to the actual chin portion, I could do that. Actually, I might be able to do that now. So let's see. Let's just round this out. And all I'm doing is just really adjusting these edges, and I want them to have nice smooth topology. So let's do a little bit of his chin now while we have a low amount of geometry. So I'm just going to go insert an edge loop right here, and as you can see, it snaps down like that into the neck, which does make things easier, less work over here in the back of the head. So we'll take that will go right there. That looks pretty nice. I'll spread that there, and I can probably add another edge loop here as well. So I'm just going to hit G, put another set of vertices, and bring this forward, so that'll give me the rest of his chin. That looks pretty good. I just got to build the actual chin. So here it's a little difficult because we're having a lot of geometry that's kind of overlapping, so that's where things start getting a little more difficult in the shaping of it. So we do kind of have to get a feel for how this character is being made. So in this case, these vertices should be going out further to kind of really get that jawline start made. And that looks pretty good. Alright. So in the next video, we'll start working on a little bit more of the face, and we'll kind of try to get that eye and that nose attached in here, so we can work on the mouth and the rest of the nose. But that's pretty much all there really is to creating the beginning portion of this head. So see you in the next one.